Thank you again for taking your time and come to this workshop on grading efficiency with rubrics. So here is our agenda for today. So first, I will talk about why rubrics are beneficial for online learning. Then we are going to create 2 rubrics in D2L step by step. And the last section is going to be Q&A. And if you have questions or comments during this workshop, feel free to jump in at any time. You can also leave your question or comment in the chat, and Tara will help me manage the chat. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that I want to talk about is why rubrics are beneficial. So I think the first reason is that rubrics set clear expectations for students. Rubrics provide a clear framework for what is expected from students. By going over specific criteria and performance levels, students understand exactly how their work will be assessed. Compared to on-site learning, transparent and clear expectations are especially important in online learning, where timely feedback or clarification from instructors can be more challenging to provide. The second thing is student self-assessment. When students have access to the rubric before submitting their work, they can self-assess and revise their work. This encourages accountability and promotes metacognitive thinking. The third thing is by using rubrics, faculty can provide constructive feedback. In D2L, you can set up feedback for each criterion and level of performance directly in the rubric, making the feedback process more structured and efficient. The next thing is, what happened? The next thing is efficient and consistent grading. So rubrics can help you maintain objectivity and consistency in grading. When you grade, you can follow a standardized set of criteria. You can evaluate all students fairly, minimizing potential bias. Also, rubrics make grading faster and more efficient. You can quickly refer to the predefined criteria and select the corresponding performance level, saving time and also making sure the quality of feedback. And then the last thing that I would like to talk about is rubrics can enhance learning outcomes. So by breaking down assignments into specific and smaller components, rubrics can help students focus on individual skills and concepts. This targeted approach improves learning outcome and also foster skill development over the time. So let's take a look how we can actually create a rubric in D2L. So I'm gonna go to D2L rubric. The first thing we want to think about is we need to have an assignment. This here in the Dropbox in D2L, this is an assignment that I created for this topic on rubric. So here is a prompt which says, explore a significant theme in the Harry Potter series. Analyze how J.K. Rowling develops the themes throughout the series or in a specific book. Use specific examples and direct quotations from the text to support your argument. The essay should be 3 pages long, formatted in MLA style with proper citations. So based on this prompt, we can tell that the instructor is looking for certain criteria from students' essay. So in order for us to create a rubric based on this assignment, we need to identify a set of criteria and different levels of performance. In order to make this process quicker, I'm going to use AI, my favorite tool, to generate a rubric. Let's see what it says. So I'm gonna say generate a rubric based on this prompt. And so the AI will generate a rubric for you, and that includes 4 levels of performance: excellent, good, satisfactory, needs improvement. And if you want to have more levels of performance, you can also prompt the AI to generate more levels. And then for the criteria, you have a set of different criterias. And in my opinion, the AI generated rubric can be a little bit wordy, so you might revise them a little bit when you are transferring the information to your rubric on D12, so that students will actually read it. So let's see. So now we have the rubric. We are going to the rubric tool to transfer the information. So here, this is the rubric, and we're going to click on, so it's under assessments. Under assessment, you click rubrics, and then you're going to click new rubric. So this is how it looks. Let's say the name, we're gonna change it to rubric for analytical paper on Harry Potter. And then here, there are 2 types of rubrics. The first one is holistic. The second one is analytic. Let's see how it looks like. So if you choose the one that says holistic, it will only have different levels of performance. You don't have like different criteria for this rubric. So this one, we highly recommend that you use this rubric for some mini assignments, such as a discussion post or an exit ticket. And we will, if we have time, we'll come back to this and talk about how we can create a holistic rubric. However, for this analytical paper, we will use the analytic choice because this paper includes a set of criteria. So we are going to use this rubric. We can, if you here you can see there's one criteria, and if we want to add another criterion, we can click here. Okay, so here we can just transfer, copy and paste the information from the AI, and then thesis and arguments, that's one criterion, and then see, development of theme, that's a different criteria. And here it has 4 levels, but we think it's kind of unclear that we use level. So we're gonna change to a more specific term, which is gonna be excellent. And then we're gonna change it to good. And then satisfactory. Then the last one is needs improvement. And the next part is we can choose no score if you think this is just a practice assignment. Students can practice it, like it's not associated with grading, then you can just choose no score. Or you can choose points. So each criterion will have the same set of points. Or you can choose customer points if you want to assign different points to each section. Perhaps you think development of theme is more important than, let's say, writing style and clarity. So perhaps you can give this section 20 points and then another section 10 points. So I'm gonna put here as 5 points and then here as maybe 10 points. And then we can change the numbers here too. Okay. And here it says add criteria group. If you add a group, it's going to be a different group. It's going to be a set of different criteria from the first table. And we recommend that you use that when you, let's say you haven't, you ask students to do a presentation and you want to evaluate the quality of the PowerPoint itself. So you want to have one criteria group. And also you want to evaluate the delivery, then you may have a different criteria. However, in this case, because I think all those criteria can be in one group, so I'm just going to delete this section. You click on the 3 dots and then you delete this. And let's see. And also you can reverse level order. If you don't want to go from excellent to needs improvement, you want to go the other way, you can also do that too. Here, you are going to write the description of the level of performance and the criteria. So here, let's see, we're just gonna do 1. So excellent. So this is the description and we're gonna put it here. And also you can maybe I think it's kind of too long, so I'm just gonna delete this section. Just leave it here. And also, if you'd like to provide more feedback for students, you can also put it here in the initial feedback section. Let's see. I'm gonna write your thesis is your thesis statement is compelling. Well done. So here you probably noticed that I use second person point of view. You use that so that students feel that you are actually talking to them directly, making them feel that you are validating their efforts. And also like for other criteria, you can also do the same thing. And if you don't want to give any feedback here, like you can just leave them blank here. As you are already giving students a lot of feedback in these sections. And so, and then we scroll down, it comes to the overall score. So we also have 4 levels here. If you want to add more levels, you can just click here and then it will have a new level. And we also want to change the name of the level to match the level up here. So needs improvements. And then we want to change the score here. So let's see, the overall score here is 1 and 1, so it's 2. So we want to change it manually. And then here we want to put maybe 1 sentence or 2 sentences to demonstrate what it means to say needs improvement. Let's see. So here is going to be what I put here. So like it means that, you know, if you have 2, it means that you fail at this level fails to meet key expectations, right? This there's a lot of areas for growth. Okay, so and then when let's go down to options. Here you can choose rubric is visible to students or is hidden from students. We highly recommend that you choose rubric is visible for students so that students can see different criteria, different expectations before they submit their work. And because of time constraint, I'm not going like I'm not completing this rubric. This is the one that I completed ahead of time. This is how it looks like. So same analysis. So you have different criteria here: thesis, same analysis, use of evidence, organization, and then here is the overall score. So this is one example, and then let's have another example, which is the holistic rubric. I'm gonna put at.
Colleen, as you're doing that, I'm just going to go ahead and ask if there are any questions since it's 10 till, and I want to make sure that questions are addressed. If anyone has them, please let us know. Raise your hand, jump out there, put it in chat, whatever you'd like to do.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. Once I started using rubrics, it did make my grading faster. But one thing I will caution is making your rubric too expansive or making it too narrow. Because you can always go in individually, like if you have it graduated by 10 points, like A, B, C, D, or whatever, you have 10 points. You can always go in and change it. Like if they weren't quite 10, but they weren't 5, you can go in and tweak it. But I have one rubric that I'm using now that I'm not going to use again because I have it subdivided a lot more. And I'm like, that's just too much. That's too many different things to read and think about. So you need to strike that balance between simplicity and adaptability. Because if you get too basic, kids are going to, you'll end up giving a student an 80 when they really were more of an 85. So you really got to make sure that it aligns with what your actual expectations of your students are.
That's 100%. I'm sorry, Hameen. I was just going to say 100% on that. It also really does depend on your type of rubric as well. I mean, you can have a rubric that's pass fail that's based on effort, not on necessarily result, or have an analytic rubric that has 3 levels rather than 5, or have a holistic rubric again that is by percentages in here. You can also set up your analytic rubric to act as a holistic rubric. I've done that for a few faculty as well. So it really does go back to what the purpose of the assessment is and how it aligns to that objective or objectives that you're measuring, and making sure that you're measuring what you're really trying to measure. And you're right, if you get too far deep in the weeds, not only is it more difficult for you, but then it is actually more difficult for the students because they feel overwhelmed and it's too much as well. So good comment, Anne. Thank you.
Yeah, I also think it's a good point. And also, so based on that, I would like to show you what maybe you can do something simple as a holistic rubric. So instead of choosing analytic, which has different criteria, you can choose holistic, which looks simpler. It is you just have 4 levels or 5 levels, and then you include kind of a description here. And then, so then you can use that for a mini assignment, such as a discussion post or a exit ticket. I think that's gonna simplify your process of grading. So these are 2 types of rubrics. Any other questions or comments before we move forward? So in this case, after we generate the 2 rubrics, we are going to attach the rubric to the assignment. So we have the Dropbox assignment, and then we're gonna go to edit, and then we're gonna add the rubric here. So let's see, the one that we have is the analytic rubric. So we're gonna have it here, and then close it. And also, let's see, the one that we have was discussion. So we're gonna link the discussion rubric to this discussion assignment. So this is one that's simpler, that's you are evaluating students holistically, and here it is. So, and then the next thing is we are going to, wherever you want to put that rubric. So I've put the discussion here. I'm also going to put the Dropbox assignments here. And then we are going to see if students can view the rubric, because we want students to have that expectation, right? And so let's go to introduction. So this is how students sees it. See, they are able to see what it looks like to have an exceptional discussion post, what it looks like to have below expectations. One thing that I want to talk about is for the percentage or the score. You probably notice that you here sometimes faculty want to do like an I can't find an example here, but sometimes faculty want to do like a grade interval, like a score interval, like 20% to 30% or 40% to 50%. That's a limitation in D2L. You can only have an exact percentage or number. You cannot have a score interval, if that makes sense. And so this is how it looks like in the student's view when it comes to the discussion rubric. And let's see this one for the Dropbox assignment. So this is how student will see it. They are going to see the rubric at the end. So they're going to see which looks like this. So this one is, as Anne mentioned, we need to keep a balance between having a really expensive and rubric that has a lot of criteria, and also a simpler rubric. It's, you know, like when we have those criteria, we ask ourselves, are we actually gonna evaluate students in those aspects? If we don't need to evaluate students, for example, if we don't want to evaluate students' organization in terms of the essay, then we can just get rid of this part. So it's always about aligning the rubric with the learning objective, the learning goal. Okay.
And at that, we're gonna wrap it up for last minute questions because it is 12:57. Does anyone have any last minute questions, comments, ideas, anything like that that you would like to share while we have this little bit of time left? Yes, if you have so if you have an existing rubric on an assignment, you can change or edit that rubric later if and only if you have not already graded the students to which that Dropbox is attached and that rubric is attached. If you've already used that rubric to grade, then for that particular assignment, you cannot change it. No. However, you can always go in and create a copy of that rubric so that then you can attach it. This is how I get around that. Attach it again, because you can attach more than one rubric. And give some sort of notification to students, but it's not simple. No. But you can change it later if you haven't graded students, like say it's in a course blueprint in D2L, you can change that rubric in there before it's offered again as well. And then of course, change it before it's offered again in the active semester.
And one thing I would like to add here is you can also, if let's say you really like the rubric, you want to make changes to it, like you're gonna use this for a different assignment, but you want to tweak it. So you can just go to the list here, and then you're gonna copy it. So you're gonna copy it, and then it's gonna show up here. So it looks the same as the one that you have, but like you can make changes to it. The one thing that that's a little bit different here is this is a draft. So it's not published. We need to go in and make it published. Otherwise, it's not gonna show up in the system.
And also too, really quickly, I know when she rolled over the drop down menu, it was really quick, but you can see that if you use rubrics, you can get the statistics from the rubrics once you've graded. So if you want an overall snapshot of how students are doing or how the class did on that particular assessment, you can get and want to even share it with them, particularly in online classes to make them feel like they're part of a group, sharing that kind of generalized overall information. You can get that information from using the rubric as well. And with that, it is technically 1 p.m. Jasmine, I see you have your hand up. We'll stay here to answer any remaining questions, but I completely understand if you have to go. And I am going to stop recording because it is technically 1 o'clock.